All right, so welcome everyone to the Preseem and techCONNECT webinar. Before we get started, I just want to take you through a couple of housekeeping items. To the right of the presentation, you'll see a chat box. Please feel free to use that for comments and feedback throughout. To the right of the main chat is a Q&A tab. Please put all your questions into this tab and we will answer these at the conclusion of the presentation. This presentation will be recorded in its entirety and sent out to all registrants within the next day or so. Happy to introduce Arno, Nico, and myself, kind of tell you a little bit about ourselves. And yeah, we're going to learn about the techCONNECT story, mission, challenges, and how they utilize Preseem today. So my name's Sam. I'm one of the sales engineers here at Preseem. And basically, my job is to make sure that you get the most value out of the platform. We can predict your churn, want to get the best QE for your subscribers, as well as get the biggest ROI out of your network. So if you ever see me, just let me know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Arno, Nico, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi there, my name is Arno, CEO, co-owner of techCONNECT. Next to me is Nico, also co-owner. Nico.
Yeah, Nico Joubert. Myself and Arno met each other about 9 years ago. Initially, we were a competition, and over a cup of coffee, decided, no, let's go big and let's take the bull by the horns.
And decided never to become tower techs, never ever to go WISP. And guess what? We're WISP today.
Nice, that's awesome. Very good. So yeah, let's jump in. What are your challenges today?
Okay, so various challenges. One of the biggest ones, obviously, being load shedding. Eskom is our local energy provider, and we have periods of load shedding that we have to overcome.
Yeah, so basically, for everybody who doesn't know what load shedding is, in South Africa, we only have X amount of power that's available, and obviously the demand is way more. So you get chunks of electricity that's available in your area. So you'd have like blackouts for 2 hours, so that the rest of the country can, and there's a rolling schedule that you can plan for.
And these blackouts could last anything from 2 hours to 4 hours, up to 3 times a day, depending on the amount of energy that's available. So we need to plan for this. And obviously, lots of our clients have gone over to solar and battery setups and inverters at their homes and businesses. So now we need to make sure that our network is always up, and that costs money, which leads to cash flow problems. We need to utilize the equipment and the software that we use optimally, and that's where Preseem comes in and helps us with that. We also have various natural disasters like lightning and flooding, etc. And then our fiber brothers, that is our competition. So in terms of the natural disasters, hang on a sec, let me just get that. Okay, cool. So sorry, we're in a live environment here, sitting in the trenches. So in terms of natural disasters, I think we're kind of well geared.
Nice.
We able to get back up and running quick if there's a lightning strike on a mountain. It's actually become a sales pitch where the clients are you guys on in load shedding? And then obviously we've catered for that, so that's a nice.
Do you guys charge more for it? Do you guys charge more for your services, or you just do it to make sure that that community is up and running during load shedding?
Yeah, correct. We've got competitors that are just, again, load shedding. There's nothing. So and once you start going into bigger areas, one area's got power, so they're expecting internet, and then the tower is in another schedule, so then the tower doesn't have power.
Yeah. Oh, true. Okay. And is it per region? Is it per like specific location, city, or is it more wide than that?
I'd say like suburbs.
Okay.
But every suburb is different. Yes.
Wow.
Don't you guys do anything in terms of our load shedding? I mean, in terms of the reporting on Preseem?
Yeah, we fixed we accounted for the load shedding issue to make sure that the metrics don't get skewed, so that when you basically during that load shedding period, it was showing that you guys had ample airtime throughout the day, all those particular things. But in reality, it was just during a load shedding period. So we wanted to account for that to make sure that load shedding didn't affect our metrics, so that you get accurate data. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because the clients go down, our towers don't go down, but the client metrics will be wrong.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's great. Awesome.
We've actually used that as an upsell as well. So what we've started doing is selling like little battery packs that keeps the radio and the router up. So So now the client is up in load shedding. He doesn't have his lights are off, no running water, nothing, but his internet's on. So his phone's charged, laptop's charged. They still have access to the internet. So
We use it now. We started using it as a lead magnet.
Yeah.
So you get a free battery pack if you sign up
Oh,
with us.
nice.
Works
Okay,
well.
right on. Wicked. Yeah, Angie, let's go to the next slide. Let's see the mission. Yeah.
So I think our mission is very important. We discuss or read this mission every Friday with every Friday meeting that we have. And our mission is that we enable our community to get online by installing fast, reliable, safe, and affordable internet. And we back that up with world-class support and education at a price point that is affordable to all. And we will only be satisfied when every community member has access to cost-effective internet connectivity that keeps them and the kids protected while online. And we use various third-party products to do this, like Whalebone, and then giving them access to a world of knowledge and entertainment and not missing out on opportunities that the rest of the world takes for granted, which is very, very close to our hearts. We really, really live according to this mission and try and fulfill it on a daily basis.
Do you guys, I know we're working with you guys for a long time now. Feels like you guys are selling the internet, not so much even reliable internet, but just selling how the internet can help particular businesses. Do you find that you're doing that on a day-to-day basis, or do you find it's more from a techCONNECT perspective?
I'll jump in here as part of the sales team as well. We've actually implementing this mission. We've really helped small, I wouldn't even say like very small businesses get onto the internet where they've been standing with their little huts and just selling stuff. Getting those guys connected to the internet and start advertising their product and actually using the internet as a business tool, where 4, 5, 6 years ago, they were just a normal hawker standing next to the road. So part of our mission is getting the internet to those guys to actually, they create jobs again, because our country is very rough in terms of unemployment. So getting small businesses onto the internet, becoming from very small to maybe employing people, starting to churn money in the economy. So that's been a big plus on our side.
Yeah, we strive to build more mom and pop shops where they actually employ family members and start employing members of the community. So it's been big for us. Yes.
We actually have one client I know of that's got like a little spaza shop, like a mini supermarket. So he sells a little bit of everything.
And a gym.
And then he's not paying us. He wants to pay us cash because all these businesses cash. So we actually have to drive out and go and pick up the cash because they live in the live there, they eat there, they do their business there. They can't afford to go and make a deposit or something because then they leave their shop. There's nobody to look after it, so they can lose business, theft or whatever. So also one of the things that is handling that, getting a pay run, somebody driving and going to pick up cash as well.
Okay.
Very
wow.
formal. Very formal.
Interesting. Cool.
Okay. Next slide. Okay, so that's where we live. It's called Komatipoort, little one-horse town on the eastern side of South Africa. We're on the border with Mozambique. So one thing that I have to mention is that there's a lot of traffic going through our border in terms of truck and coal exports. A very strong Mozambican Portuguese influence. So all our food is peri-peried. We're on the border of the Kruger National Park. So basically you can sit on our porches for some of our clients that are, happy, or what do you call it, wealthy, live on the rivers, and they can actually look into the Kruger. So lovely little town. We came here about 10 years ago, fell in love with the place and the people, very laid back. When you guys visit Cape Town, same type of atmosphere, very laid back type of atmosphere. We call it the slow felts, not because things necessarily just happen slow, but people are just more chilled here and absolutely love it here.
As you said, with the trucks and the exports, our initial meeting, after the meeting that we said we're not going to become a WISP and only be an IT shop, when we decided, okay, listen, we are going to become a WISP, our first business plan was for 20 clients that actually service these trucks that goes, so the import-export documentation. And the first initial business plan was 20 clients. We'd be happy if we just sort them out and then we run the IT side.
Yeah. And that just grew and grew from there. So,
well, I guess. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of where we are on the eastern side. If we can go to the next slide, you'll see that there starts a little green footprint on next close to Maputo or on the border. And yeah, that's our footprint that we have. Very, very small in the bigger picture, not really big, but getting there and growing.
Yeah, so we actually have two countries bordering to us. It's Swaziland and then Mozambique.
Swaziland, Eswatini, and Mozambique. So we in the middle there. And there's our footprint. We were established in 27, got about 650 subscribers. That should be close to 700 now. Our coverage area is about 2,500 square kilometers or 1,500 square miles. A population of about 750,000 according to the latest census in 2019. You can push that probably up to close to 1 million, 1.2 million now people, our possible market that we could service. And it basically is rural farming, low income, and very seasonal as well, because we've got a bunch of holiday lodges servicing the Kruger National Park. So that's our client base that we are servicing at the moment.
To go onto that, so if you say 750,000 people, if you look at our country of what's the 65 million, only 7,000 are registered as taxpayers.
7 million.
Only 7 million of the.
Really? Oh, okay.
So
formally employed.
Yeah, formally employed. So yeah, it's a biggish area, but very low income.
You can imagine it's a very, very microeconomy, rands and cents, 5 rands here per transaction. So very rural. Yeah.
Are you guys the only ones in these areas? Do you have fiber builders beside you? Do you have other WISPs that are interfering with you guys as well? Or not interfering, but competition, let's say?
They are interfering.
Okay. Basically, in our town, there's 3 locally based WISPs, and then I think 2 provincial and 1 national companies, and they do wireless as well. And then 2 of them, one of the locals and then one of the nationals, have rolled out fiber.
Okay.
It's been competition.
It's been a major competition because everybody wants to buy speed, faster fiber, faster speed, cheaper, faster, and that we've had to combat in our marketing.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our typical clients are from big, huge lodges and tented camp shopping centers to very low income housing in what we call the rural townships of South Africa, having to service all income groups, and we have to make a plan with everybody to make sure that they have good internet and give the same quality to the lowest income earner to the biggest lodge. And Preseem has helped us with that in terms of getting our latencies right and getting the people to stream without buffering, and that's been a major selling point for us.
I think one thing that we've done as well is we've not changed our monthly price since the day we started. So where all other guys there's been price increases and some of them a decrease and whatever. We've just said this is the price. But in the sales side is what are you getting extra?
And we'll talk a bit more about that. But we've got a 5-point system that we sell to the clients, where we basically upsell extra services, or it's part of the package, all these extra services, but we'll talk about that a bit later as well.
Cool.
So yeah, there's our staff. We've got 11 staff at the moment. And if you can go to the next slide, Angie, you'll see these, basically everybody's jacks of all trades, but we've got 2 teams, our business development and our support tech team. And the business development team is called the Arabians. Nico is part of the Arabians. He doesn't like being called that. And then we've got our Clydesdales, and referring to them as horses is not to be derogatory at all. It's more the temperament that they have. So we've got our hot bloods, or the Arabians, and the cold bloods, or our Clydesdales. And if you stand next to a Clydesdale, they are massive horses. So they do the heavy lifting for us. Absolutely fantastic people that we have in the team that can literally become Spider-Man and hang off roofs and climb mountains, and over weekends they like scaling cliff walls and abseiling and things like that for fun. And then our Arabians are brilliant salespeople. and they are our communications channels between the Clydesdales and our clients. So they're the glue that keeps the team together. So if you could go the next slide, all that we're trying to say here is that with the Arabians, it was very easy to measure their performance. We have a sales leaderboard, and every Friday we bring out a little sales leaderboard, and the amount of line of sights that they did and the amount of sales that they did, we could actually measure. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we set them certain line of sight targets, 24 line of sights per month. And the next slide, you'll see we actually want only 8 installations per month. And maybe Nico, as the business development director, can go on about or tell us more about why our goal for the install is so low.
Yeah, so basically we've experimented a lot with different ways, and we actually had a look at the time it takes and travel time and all of that. And myself and I knew about 2 years ago, I had the idea that if we worked out, if sales wasn't the issue with the amount of sales waiting, what would be the optimum amount of installs we'd be able to do? And I think we worked out 40 installs a month.
Great.
And then we decided, okay, let's half that. So there's not always 100 installs. Right. Sales have to push for the sales. So we halved that to 20. And the teams were hitting 17, 18, a great month, 24. But it got demoralizing that they're not hitting the sale, that 20. And Arno is our guru when it gets to motivational speakers and mentors. And one of the ideas was to set the bar lower.
You got that from Alex Chaffin.
Yes. So we set the bar very low. And with that 8 installs, we also started to look at the monetary amount of the installs. So 8 installs would be 8,000 Rand. And that the 8,000 Rand became the goal. And on the sales side, the sales ladies and myself were actually going for bigger upsells. We changed our avatar, the target market, and we were rather going for less installs but bigger clients and bigger monetary amounts.
And still, no, do you know what? So Nico was very clever. He waited for the big corporates and the big mines, and then he would like do a 40,000 Rand install.
Yeah.
And Nimsi was going on and doing her normal 15, 20 installs per month. And then Nico went and changed and said, okay, now let's look at the monetary.
Let's look at the monetary.
Yeah. Okay.
So numbers wise, she's smashing it. I'm still in the running with the bigger clients. But what we saw, a lot of people say when you drop the targets, that people will just push to get the target and then sit back the rest of the month.
Imagine you don't get the that's also demoralizing. But anyway, I understand.
So now we're smashing
the target.
And word of mouth and all our sales funnels and everything is keeping on pushing. So where the sales side have been just going, and it's the guys' faces on a Friday meeting and a monthly meeting when they're looking at the board, and the board's hung up, so everybody where they're having like a room where everybody's having like their water cooler talks, that board's up there and everybody's constantly seeing it. And the guys are like walking and high-fiving each other. Yeah, no, we're smashing this. We're gonna double target this month.
But now that brings us to a conundrum, because the Clydesdales don't have a board, and we needed to figure out a board for the Clydesdales. So if we could go to the next slide, we show there that the sales leaderboard, they have their board. They can see exactly what com they're earning per month, etc. But how are the Clydesdales being awarded? So we had to have a gotcha, and we award them that way. But now the Clydesdales are more fact-driven. They love it if we give them facts and why. We need to always give them a why. And this is how we did this. If you can go to the next slide.
Aren't engineers the best?
Yeah. So give them access to this Preseem wireless dashboard. Everybody monitors this on a daily basis, got it on the big TV, and show them, look, this is where we're at the moment, and use Preseem as a sales board, as a motivational factor in where we want our network to be. And honestly, this is the only way that we can measure the efficiency of our network, is using Preseem. There is no other tool to make the network better than Preseem. So this is what we're concentrating on. If we can go to the next slide, we show them where we are at the moment, show them the stats. This was at December 2023, not good at all, and show them how to fix this. So to the next slide, we can see that latency on the network is our big problem. And if we fix the latency on the access point, we fix our entire network, because an individual subscriber will influence the entire network or the entire access point. And onto the next slide, you'll see that there's outliers on our network. And these are the guys, these are clients that we need to look after. If we get rid of the outliers, either by upgrading the access points or by upgrading the CPEs or by whatever means, upgrade the internal network on the client, get rid of these outliers, our entire network will be fixed. Sam, if you have any questions, just shout. Is there anything?
Yeah, for sure. No worries. Because like whatever decisions you guys decide to make, the whole idea, hopefully, is that by you seeing this or you being able to identify if it's an individual subscriber problem or an access point problem, it could just be we're on a different channel width than we should be. There's no airtime on the AP left. And if we have the RF environment for it, we can just increase the channel width. Then your guys, your Clydesdales can actually like see if they're improving the network or not. That's the main idea. So yeah, this is great.
100%. And Preseem makes it so easy by giving us RF scores and business value scores. Even our Arabians are able to tell the Clydesdales, listen, we can see an issue here. Please, could you do something about it? Because now they start realizing that it affects our entire client base if they are able to fix those outliers. So yeah, makes it simple.
Sure.
Cool. Angie, next slide. So this is our company motto: latency, a swear word. Our keywords for the year was leads and latency, and we told the Clydesdales, listen, if there's a latency issue, see that as a swear word. And we've literally started calling people latent, and that's not a good thing, you know. So please don't be latent. And that is the motto for the year. We're not going to have any latency. Okay, look, again, we have to make it realistic. So we want all our APs on 100 milliseconds, which still isn't the best, but working towards getting the red ones out of the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, first of all, we need to let the Clydesdales know that it's not about speed, it's about latency. Internet speed is a lie, and how do we communicate this to the Clydesdales? Because they want the facts, they want to see the whys and the facts. And that we do by using, if we can go to the next slide, the fixed wireless reports from Preseem. And there was a very noticeable page in there that caught our attention. And it showed obviously that the clients double their speeds or the planned speeds. It doesn't necessarily double the amount of data or the speed of the data that they use. But there was something there which I read out to them, and it says, in fact, it's much flatter than that. The chart above shows the slow growth in usage as the planned speed increases. For plans under 100 meg, for example, customers will only use about 5 megabits per second on average. And we can see it on our network. I'm sure the WISPs with Preseem can see it on their networks. The fact that we have clients, and Nico can back me up on this, and I can actually show you the stats. We've got clients streaming DSTV on a 1 meg line, where DSTV, which is our main broadcaster for sports, etc., their recommended minimum is 10 megs.
Yeah.
And it's working. Now, this client locks up his SSID password like crazy, doesn't let his kids know, or his wife know, whatever.
No other devices connected. Everything is wired. But yeah, he's making it work.
So,
which I had to drive out and go and see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the fact is that latency is the problem, not the speed of the network.
Do you think okay, so but on that then, people don't think of it in terms of latency. So you guys are kind of taking an altruistic approach because you guys are having to educate customers or individual end users on latency over speed. Like everybody sells speed. How do you guys get past that?
Okay,
so let me jump in this one. So basically one of the things that me and myself and the sales ladies, we like analogies. So one of the we try to explain people when it gets to Preseem is that if you have a very congested highway and it's stacked. And in our area, the highway backs up full of trucks that are going through the border. So everybody's understands that. So what I'm trying to tell people in the sales meeting, or when you interacting with a potential client, is that thanks to Preseem, you've got this fully stacked highway, but that big truck is a Windows update. It's not important. Doesn't matter if it takes 12 hours or 8 hours to get through. Sure. But you want your tourists that are bringing in money and they want to go on holiday. These guys need to go, and that's like your streaming of
your VoIP, your DNS,
your sports cars are lining up, and that's traffic cop. That Preseem would be the traffic cop, just waving all the sports cars through so they can keep going at 120 miles per hour or whatever. What's it, 60 miles per hour is fast. We kilometers per hour, but yeah. So you've got the speed sports cars going, and as soon as they're done, the traffic cop will have the big trucks taking up all the space, and then somebody lets the Afrikaans let the traffic cop know, listen, there's some sports cars on their way. He makes way with all the trucks, and the sports cars keeps going. Yeah. And that analogy in terms of latency and what Preseem gives us, that's been working with clients.
We've even started giving him a name now, Mandla Lungelu. And we're creating a character that represents Preseem that will be seen waving the cars past and making sure that the slower trucks on our highway, which is our internet, get side.
But Arno, you said there was fiber builds around you guys, and I know we talked about this in the past, but what's super confusing to me is how do you instill low latency into clients' head to be able to keep service with you guys? Once people hear fiber, once people hear higher speeds, how do you guys deal with that?
We go.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say that we get everybody. Listen, there's fiber that you lose. All right. But what we've seen is the guy that we spent hours with trying to convince, and he's just got that number 100 meg per second fiber and low latency promises. They take the fiber, you lose that client, and that's fine. But what we keep them on a drip marketing campaign where all our newsletters about Preseem, all the upsells, our network statuses, everything, they kept in the loop, unless obviously unsubscribes, but most people just watch it. And as soon as they start struggling with the fiber, we get a call. Listen, and what we've also done is obviously we've taken a big leap of faith on our website. Our live statuses of all our towers up and down time is live on our website. Okay. So what we've seen is clients phone us and say, listen, we've been down on a fiber for 2 hours. I can see on your webpage that the tower that I'm closest to is up and running, and it hasn't gone down in 12 hours or days. And that's also become a way to tell clients, listen, does your fiber supplier or your current WISP actually keep track of their downtime? And we show that live on our website.
I'm guessing for load shedding, then Arno and Nico, that's a huge selling point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll give you more details in a couple of slides later how we started to convince the clients. It's difficult, but it's doable.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is what our clients need to know. It's mind-blowing, but the average speed of the millions of data points that Preseem has picked up is 5 megabits per second. That's what the average client uses. So if we can go to the next slide, this is what we need to sell to the clients. Low latency is more important than throughput when it comes to giving subscribers a superior quality of experience. And this is what we need to work on a daily basis. And this is what Preseem gives us and allows us to work on. So again, here it says that this is directly quoted from the Preseem fixed wireless report. On one hand, this makes sense. Consumers are more likely to understand what 100 megabits per second, 100 megabits per second download speed means, whereas promising them latency under 30 milliseconds probably won't resonate right away. However, there was a time when consumers didn't know what megabits per second meant either. So educating subscribers on the importance of low latency and its impact on the experience could be a good way for regional operators to separate themselves from the competitors and grow their business. And we thought about this. Last year, December, we literally pored over the report and thought of ways on how to do this. And the next couple of slides, I'll show you how we did this, how we started educating the clients on doing this. Okay. So if we could go. So now, Clydesdales, we need to set a goal and we need to tell them what needs to happen to get us to sub 100 millisecond times. First of all, we need to fix our backhauls, and our network is built quick and dirty. Now, I just need to reiterate here, this is how we do it. We're not saying this is how you should do it, okay? We work on a shoestring budget. So we add light APs to our closer towers, and then later upgrade those to rockets and horns. To our longer runs, we add horns, and then individually we fix the client issues and we set a goal. So the goal is end of this month. All of these issues need to be sorted, and we're winning that goal. So if we can go to the next slide, you'll see that our forecasted latency results are 900 milliseconds towers, minimum 500 meg backhauls, go 60 gigs to our larger towers. All our netconnects in the office need to be upgraded, and then the techs need to learn Preseem. And there's a wealth and abundance of learning materials, from YouTube to the forums to the knowledge base, where they can actually study it. We've got some training on a membership site which they can go through, which scratches the surface, but for in-depth training, they need to go onto Preseem and play with it on a daily basis. They can't break anything. So we literally ask them, please play with Preseem every day and chat to us. And it's becoming quite a nice discussion point in the office in our morning huddles when we quickly discuss what we're going to do for the day.
Nice.
Yeah, and obviously the more they see it, the more they use it, the more they're starting to interpret the data, because it's an information overload in the beginning.
Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely is. Okay, so now how do we remunerate them? This is where we wanted to get to, is we need to remunerate them on the performance of the network. And basically what we did is we built a little Excel spreadsheet with our green, yellow, and red towers, counting them on a daily basis, then averaging that out over a monthly basis. So we've got 47 access points, of which 22 of those access points on average during the month was green, 21 were orange, and one was red. So that gives us a figure of 48% of the access points are green, 45% are orange, and 2% are red. And then how do we take like a discretionary amount, which in our case is 5,000 Rand. And guys, this is, we've seen that the money really isn't the motivating factor here, but we wanted to remunerate them somehow. And we give them 48% of that 5,000 Rand if the towers are green, everything. 48% of all the green towers that you get. You only get 20% of the orange towers or the yellow towers, which is 445 Rand or 454 Rand. And then you actually get penalized on the red towers, 20% penalty, 120 bucks. We're going to take off of your com.
Sure.
And then the total commission that the Clydesdales get is 2,872 Rand, and each tech gets 574 Rand. And this is how we figured out on how to remunerate them based on the performance of the network. And this is done on a monthly basis. And also we've set a benchmark that our benchmark currently is 2% of our towers, or 2 of our towers on average is red. And if it goes above 2, you get nothing.
Yeah, 3.
3.
Okay.
3. Goes
So
above 3.
how are you guys, so before, because all this data gets pulled from Preseem on the latency side on the APs, you guys weren't comping, weren't giving goals to your Clydesdales before, your support techs before?
No, we were giving them gotchas. So gotchas are caught you out doing something good for a client phoned in or whatever. But that's not enough. We want them to get a reasonable com and something similar to what the Radians are getting.
We didn't have something like this to be able to do this beforehand.
We've been using it for a couple of years, but
yeah, not in this detail.
Yeah.
Do you think because I like immediately I'm thinking of competition. So with regards to setting up comps or setting up if the network's performing well or not, like I've noticed over the past couple months, like your network has gotten clean, like very, very clean since implementing this. I just want to understand, like, what, because it's a pool, because all of the support techs are part of this, like what happens if somebody's screwing up on the team? What happens if somebody's letting something go and a bunch of towers get red? Everybody doesn't get comped. How do you deal with the interconnection of the team?
So
And then,
Sam, what do you think would happen? Just from your person, what do you think if one team member doesn't pull his weight? What do you think would happen?
it's either one of two things. I'm thinking that the other teams have to help, or everybody starts to crumble, and then everybody takes their own piece of the pie and goes, I want to just be comped on my section of the network.
So basically what we're doing is we've got certain members, and as everybody's, how can I say, knowledge of Preseem is growing, some of them are fine looking at the APs. Myself, I look on the APs. One of the techs, he's just jumped in and he's handling individual client issues. And when there's something that we can't change remotely, so a tech has to go out and maybe realign or have a look at installing an extender or something like that to improve the latency, those tickets get logged, right?
Yeah.
And those get logged in an area for certain techs. And there's a leaderboard as well for the techs, how many maintenance jobs they've done, how many installs they've done, how many line of sights they've done. So all those Preseem issues become maintenance tickets. And the more the guys are knocking that out of the park, the higher on the leaderboard is on a separate remuneration for maintenance jobs as well. So there's that internal competition, who's done more maintenance, who's done more installs. But the Preseem issues that we pick up, individual clients or be it a sector or AP, right, those get logged as maintenance jobs, and those are potential jobs that the guys are jumping up and down on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have A players in the team, you had a couple of B or C players, the individual competition would be, come on, get this sorted. You're not pulling your weight here. You need to get your sector sorted, because obviously there's guys with different sectors that they take pride in. It's their area. They live there. They want to make sure that those sectors. That's where it's really important that you have A players on the team, because your B players and C players are going to be eliminated. I'm sure that's what's going to happen. We haven't noticed that. We've got, I'd say everybody's A players on our team. But if we had one or two bad apples, they would have been taken out of the equation here, because the A players would have told them, you're not pulling your weight. We don't feel happy that you're earning a part of the com that we work so hard for.
So do you find then today, and Nico, I know you're on the business development team. So Arno, you probably look at the network like it's your baby. Mm-hmm. Now that you have the metrics to be able to show that, okay, here's how your network's actually performing. Do you find the Clydesdales, do you find the support team, or even the sales team as well, taking ownership of the network? Do you find that the roles have flipped? Because that's the main thing. I think that's what everyone honestly is looking for. Because like, you don't want it from top down, do this, do that, XYZ. It's almost like, no, this is your guys' network. You guys got to make it clean, because we have the metrics now to be able to measure you.
And they're taking ownership. That's what's so nice. We never had the tool where they could actually take ownership and measure. And even the Arabians are starting to notice issues and starting to pick up on problems and starting to troubleshoot and do basic troubleshooting, communicating that with the Clydesdales and giving them more info. We think the internal part of this client's network is a problem. It's not necessarily the access point. The RF scores, the business scores, all of that helps them to simplify it. And without a tool like this, how would you measure it? And how would you measure QoE? And QoE has always been like a, how could I say, it hasn't been what experience are clients having. And what's very nice is that the feedback that we're getting from the clients is really positive. And then on the Friday meetings, we love to give the feedback that the clients are giving us.
And let's say 6-7 years ago, it was the two of us monitoring APs, monitoring backhauls, and so on. So it was all on us. Mm-hmm. And with this change, I just see tickets logged realign this or move this. Or
Oh,
so the guys are logging their own tickets and they're starting to do their own maintenance. And I open up Preseem in the morning and say, oh, this is looking amazing.
And Preseem Plus has made a difference as well, I must
Definitely.
say. It's just made it easier for the Arabians to start troubleshooting.
I think that's been a major change with us, where Preseem was normally just the two of us looking at it. But since Preseem Plus is in the picture, it's like the whole group is all involved and eyes on it.
I don't know, is that what you call it? You call it Preseem?
yeah, Preseem Plus. Yeah. But that's my question, because it's a different philosophical approach. I know you guys have implemented this, and it's kind of nice to have the team come to you with issues instead of you having to always go top down. And that's kind of nice, because I like, even for myself, it's nice to be able to measure your own success and know that what you're doing out in the field, whether it's them realigning a customer or adding a channel width to an AP or whatever the case may be, that they can see that their results are actually improving the network and helping people. And it kind of ties back to your guys' mission, which I think is altruistic. It's like you're helping people get internet in the areas that they can't, and then even with the internet that they receive, it's reliable. It's everything that they can do with it. So yeah, it's great. It's great.
And it's so important, because we literally have to chop that up, our backles up into little slivers, and that sliver of speed that we give them needs to be used optimally. And that's what Preseem allows us to do. Plus, as business owners, for us, sitting and working on the access points and figuring it out is not the best use of our time. The best use of our time is working strategically. But we need to give the guys on the grassroots level the tools to be able to do this on their own. And this is what Preseem allows us to do.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome to see. Hopefully the guys aren't too mad at us for measuring them now.
No, not at all. Okay, so what's changed? So our ARPU has gone from 443 to 700, the average revenue per user, but we also made a strategic decision, which was important, to start changing our avatar, which we'll talk about a bit later, or our ideal client. It's very important. Okay, we'll talk about that a bit later. If we can go to the next slide, you'll see that our MRR, and please, our guys earning foreign currency in dollars and pounds are going to laugh at us, but our MRR has increased 30% year on year to about 460. We're going to nail 500,000 soon, within a couple of months. So yeah, Preseem has helped us do that as well. We can go to the next slide. We'll see that we changed our avatar, and that kind of happened automatically because our home users started implementing or using us in their businesses because they saw how well it was working at home. They automatically started flipping their businesses when their fiber contract started expiring. We actually had a client that bought out a fiber contract. She bought out 8 months of a fiber contract.
I just want to, so when I told you our business plan in the beginning was like 20 businesses, where the boom came over COVID and all of that, and everybody working from home. So we installed 20 businesses, right? And that was like in the first month or two, so that exploded. And all those businesses wanted the internet at their house, and then they wanted the internet for their manager, and then this one was off sick and they needed to work from home, and then COVID hit and everybody needed to work from home. And then we were like, in COVID, we need to survive. So we just built towers and got internet out there, and the avatar moved to home users.
But the home users takes your ARPU down, which was negative.
And then over the last little while, we made a conscious decision, but it almost flipped by itself again with all those residential installs. Those guys had internet needed internet at their businesses. So it's been flipping the other way again.
And remember, the best sales tools to have confidence in your product. And I think Nico has absolute confidence in the product for him to go to the big corporates, the big minds, etc., and tell them, let me sell you a 100 meg link or the equivalent of a 100 meg link, and it will work, And
then Arno has to make it work. he keeps my promises.
Yeah, we've sat in many meetings where I kicked him, under the table. You cannot promise this. We'll make this work.
But yeah, then he keeps my promises.
So the best sales tool for the Arabians is actually trusting the network. We have,
sorry, we got a rule. All our staff, everybody's got our internet at their house.
except one.
But yeah,
Okay.
And she has fiber because we don't have line of sight to our house, and she's constantly complaining.
Oh, interesting. There you go. Okay, right on.
Yeah, she's constantly complaining that she wants us, but we can't chop off all the trees. The neighbors won't be too happy.
yeah. So just one thing on the sales side that we've
Yeah.
always, all the employees that come in and they become part of the Arabians and become part of the sales team is, I tell them, you can't sell tires if you don't know what tires does and all the specs and the numbers and whatever. So a guy who walked into a car dealership and he's just a tire salesman, he has to go on training and really love what he does. And there's a lot of, in my opinion, a tire is a tire is a tire, but there's different sizes and rim sizes and whatever. And some are good for driving off-road and some are good for driving really fast. And that's something you can give somebody a book and go and read it and get the technical knowledge, where selling internet isn't really, yeah, you can give them, it's a lot of technical words, and then the guy you're selling to doesn't understand the technical jargon. So for us, a major rule is they've got our internet at home and you use it and you know what speed you're on. You can then obviously, because you're using it, you know what the internet is capable, a 2 meg line from us, what you can do. And that's what you're then obviously selling. Because listen, I use this at home. I love my product. I'm on in load shedding, so on and so forth. I can watch a Netflix movie on this speed. They've got kids. We 4 people doing X, Y, and Z on the internet. So it is capable of doing that. And that's been a big switch in the sales side as well.
It took years to get the product right. Your product needs to be perfect before you start going out onto the market and really marketing it and selling it. If you sell a rubbish product, you're just going to get negative reviews, and word of mouth explodes these days with Facebook reviews and Google My Business and Google reviews. So product needs to be good before you go out to the market and sell it. And that's a major change that Preseem made for us. I also just want to mention that our Arabians are concentrating on checking the AP capacity before marketing to those APs.
Certain areas,
in certain areas. And that obviously helps us with cash flow because we can capacity plan better and we can fill our APs that have a better business value score first.
And we're using it reactively as well. So line of sight was fine. The areas tower looked fine. One of the sectors was maybe APs was maybe a little full. The install gets done, and then a day or two later, a checkup would then show, okay, listen, maybe just move it. It's in the same line of sight. Just move it to another AP that's got
Right.
more. So it's a reactive tool as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the starting to sell latency, not speed. It's I'm curious to see how that keeps going throughout the years with fiber and things along those lines. That's awesome.
Yeah, look, you have to answer the client's questions before they even phone you. So if we go to the next slide, another thing that's really helping us with our cash flow is the auto shaping has literally fixed the APs that are bad on the network, our red APs, and that helps with cash flow again because we don't have to upgrade those access
Well, you can even look at the green graph that are good APs are even better. So it's not just the bad ones getting better and the medium one. There's a total drop in latency since the auto shaping's in.
Yeah, that's been.
But are we punting something that's not officially out yet? Because I know we're on an early test.
You guys are trialing something, but yes, but pretty much what it's doing is what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
This has been a major improvement on our network. It's really, really helping. Okay, so basically the integration into Splinks is amazing as well, where our Arabians are able to directly connect to a client's Preseem chart and do troubleshooting on their own. So they've got very simple metrics that they look at. The CPU radio's got a good RS score. The access point's got a good RS score. The latency on the access point's fine, but the latency on the CPE on the client side is pathetic, and they immediately know that there's something wrong on the client network. They immediately know that something needs to be upgraded within the client network, access points need to be upgraded, or there's interference internally. And then the client is going to go a step further and actually log on to Unify or whatever and have a look at those access points and what's going on there.
And that becomes a sales tool as well. That becomes an upsell tool. Listen, there's not enough coverage inside the house, so you're standing on the deck outside and using internet, and it's you're too far away, and it becomes an upsell for an extender, cable work, and internal and so forth.
And you know what's bad? If a client phones in and they speak with level 1 or the Arabians, and the Arabians can't give them answers. The clients want answers now, and Preseem has enabled us to give the clients answers immediately. Look, we can see that there's an issue on your internal network. You've got dead spots. And the clients would agree, you're right, we do have dead spots. We've picked up weird things like wireless cameras and gate motors that cause internal latency. So, yeah, it's just so nice that we can actually, from a level 1 support tech, which is the Arabians, giving answers to the clients.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, so how do we sell latency and not speed? We've created a landing page with SEO, or search engine optimization, where we go and answer the clients or the potential leads questions before they phone us. So we've been using a closer framework for the Arabians to sell to the clients. And none of us could remember Alex or Moses' closer framework acronyms. We don't even know what the C stands for. But what we do know is that if we answer most of the clients' calls before they phone us, it's just a sell. It's not a answering questions. And you guys are welcome to go have a look at the ineedinternet.co.za page. We use a lot of the fixed wireless access reports, screenshots in there to answer questions about latency. We actually make a very bold claim that fast internet is a farce, F-A-R-C-E. It's not about fast internet. Our competitors are upselling you speed, which you do not need. And we start answering the questions one by one. We've got a bunch of videos as well, explaining the traffic cop example there. We're probably going to tighten that down a bit as well. The copy is very long, which is good. Some people love reading long copy, but just getting it nice.
We've noticed that this, and thanks to Arno, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears gone into that. But this has changed a lot of initial phone calls from a cold lead or like a medium, just testing the waters, to a hot lead that you just basically get detailed and closed. It's made a major difference on the sales side.
All that we remember from the closer framework now is the R at the end, and that's the reconfirmation call. We get a payment to phone them and say, thank you so much for your payment and welcome to techCONNECT.
Awesome. No, it's great. Right on.
Cool. So some of our client reviews and Google reviews, what gets mentioned a lot is the speed. And it shows you that the clients don't have a concept of the speed, because if we take Zulika, for example, she says the internet from techCONNECT just feels so much quicker. It feels quicker than other competitors. Movie stream at high qualities, videos load fast, and generally there's much less buffering. More than 80% of the traffic passing her network is videos or voice over IP calls, also known as voice calls, and the traffic must be prioritized, she understands. And the bottom line that is, if a video streams properly and a voice call doesn't break up, my clients are happy. So she's a property agent. She just refers all her new homes to us, and she doesn't want to do business with anybody else.
Can we throw a tip in again? Don't do what we do. This is just what works, or what we found work for us, is partner up with the estate agent, partner up with
internet cafes,
electricians and plumbers. Those guys spend time in other people's houses, and obviously while they're working, like the blue collar maintenance guy, he spends time there, and obviously people start talking, and then, oh, but do you have somebody that can fix my AC? And they know, I know somebody, but yeah, we're struggling with our internet as well. Don't worry, I know a guy. And especially a estate agent sells a new house, and then, listen, you're going to need internet for the house. Don't talk to us. Know the area. These guys are the best in the area. So that's just a little.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, right on.
They've even started financing the internet and the solar as part of the house price.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh,
Part of the bond. Get it part of the bond.
So we make it smart, totally smart. Smart home, smart lights, smart vacuums. The works is in there, and then you can just see via reviews that the feedback that we're getting is good. And once again, the clients, every time it's the speed. If you go back one slide, Andrew, you'll see that, for example, Ananda says that our latest technology, we actually explained Preseem to her, and now she thinks we've got the latest technology. Nobody else has the latest technology. So maybe we're shooting ourselves in the foot by doing this, and explaining the value that Preseem is bringing to us. But it's really important that I feel the internet quality for the entire region needs to get better. And Preseem is the way to go to do this. Without Preseem, I think we'd be dead in the water.
Wow. No, that's awesome. Yeah. We'll obviously continue working with you to make it better. We're going to tweak it more and more and more. I think too, what we can do from here as well is just open it up to live questions for anybody that wants to go here. So that any questions that you have for Arno, Nico, myself, with Preseem or techCONNECT, with anything that we talked about today, I think, yeah, we'd love to cover. Sorry to interrupt you, Arno. I'm happy to keep talking.
Mention one thing. I really need to say thank you to the Preseem team on how quickly you respond to our questions and things, and also the amount of training that you're putting into our staff and helping our staff to use it properly.
No.
Appreciate that.
I mean, if I look how painless it was. Okay, we had one when we had the backup server that we and you had the tick for billing run or something. Or that was on the Splings one.
That was Splings. That wasn't Preseem.
But even with Preseem, when we set up the backup server, it was painless, had everything up and running. I think we had login details set up. The next morning, we walked into the office with the time difference. Everything was done. So no, it's been painless. It's been awesome.
Heads up to Dasu. Thank you, brother.
All right, so that concludes the pre-recorded video. I do think that Sam is having some technical issues, so we'll just wait for him to come back online. We already do have one question in the Q&A tab that I will just read out for Nico and Arno to answer. So this is from David, and his question is, how big a difference did you see across the network once your latency targets were achieved?
Okay, so interesting question. What we definitely noticed was about a 20% increase in the traffic on our backhauls because there's no more bottlenecks on the network. The thing is that because of the latency that's better, the bottlenecks are less. And then we obviously had to upgrade our backhauls a bit, but it hits our Preseem server, which then again just implements the plans, the speed plans. So yeah, that's worked well. But
yeah, Arno,
have a look at your backhauls.
Yeah, Arno, David, to your question, I don't think we were 100% able to measure that increase, but what we could see is there was definitely, I'd say roughly like a 20 to 30% decrease in maintenance calls, complaints from the client side. Our standby department has been way quieter, way less calls since hitting the latency goals.
Yeah, most definitely. And obviously a bunch of truck rolls that you could stop because our Arabians could actually troubleshoot the network before sending a tech out. So that's helped a bunch. So yeah, saved us money in that sense. And the rest is very subjective because clients aren't complaining as much. The phone calls over the weekends aren't as much. We're able to be more proactive, and we're getting more good reviews from the clients.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And I know that in our previous session, Sam had also asked what your insights or thoughts are to what the industry is going to look like in a few years. And I think you gave a pretty insightful answer to that. So I just want to kind of echo that question again for this audience.
Okay, so basically the way that I see this is that in Africa and South Africa, we've got a totally different demographic and market than we have in the States. In the States, programs like BEAD is throwing money at implementing high-speed fiber, and the money is there. Obviously, the capital's there to implement fiber on a mass scale, whereas in South Africa, the money just isn't there. And we still need to get out to the market. We still need to get out to our rural clients. So fixed wireless access is going to beat fiber over and over every day. Over the long term, I just cannot see big corporates and our big competitors making the investment of putting millions and millions of rands of glass into the ground and waiting for the ROI to commence. We just don't have that scale of players in the markets. Whereas in the States, I think you guys are going to have a harder time. Okay, obviously, if you've got like clusters of people, highly concentrated densities, then it makes sense. It makes financial sense in our bigger metropoles like Johannesburg, Cape Town, etc. But I don't know, what's your feeling? I have no fear about us being ousted by our fiber competitors at all. Nico, what do you think?
I just honestly, from my perspective, in the long run, your time in between failures, fixing something. I've always felt that, and we've had clients compliment us that if there's a major outage, it's not as long as it takes to dig up the fiber, resplice it, firstly find the breakage, and if the client has an issue and it's hardware related, the tech drives out and he replaces a radio and Bob's your uncle. If we lose a AP on a tower, drive out, replace the AP, download the pre-config setup, and your downtime is less. That's one of the major things that I've always felt where Wi-Fi wins.
I think also there's a very important critical factor in this whole thing is your marketing and your sales. You really need to communicate that message and get that message over and get the latency message over. And start using smart tools. Start using smart ways of marketing this and getting it out to the market. That your sales cycle is not just a week or two. It could take up to 6 months, 8 months. Sometimes we have to wait out a fiber contract to get a client on board and get them to sign on the dotted line. So you need to drip market to those guys. It's a continuous process. It's a continuous nurturing process of that client. But they do end up with you. And obviously, client service. You're going to beat any competitor out there if your client service is good. A massive thing that we did was that helped us as well was the fact that we started doing after-hours service, client service, so they could actually phone us or WhatsApp us on a number. And we've got 2 support techs on standby. And we do that until 10 p.m., which is not ideal. For our corporates, 24 hours, me and Nico handle those calls. But the after-hour standby and them actually not chatting to a bot or AI and chatting to a real person that could resolve their issues was important as well. Those little bits of extra services, giving extra IT support if they needed that, giving them an app to pay their bills, things like that, that makes a big difference.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the insights and just giving us a peek into your operations and network. I haven't seen any new questions come in. Oh, and we actually just have one. We have one from Rick saying, how do you measure the ROI of Preseem?
I don't know. That would be yours.
Okay, so in our growth, we can measure it. 1 month's growth spurt is our ROI done. That as simple as that. 1 month's additional recurring revenue makes up for the price of Preseem. I was a bit worried going for the version 2 of Preseem Plus because it was about a third more, and I just made up the difference in price in 1 month's growth. And now, obviously, it's done. It's paid for. And as our subscribers base grows, I think it costs us less than 50 cents per subscriber per month, which is 5 Rand in South African terms, or 10 Rand. That's 100% worth having happy clients using FQ Codel to optimize our traffic, It's a no-brainer to me. I have competitors who I chat to regularly, and they say it's just too expensive. And I honestly, look, example, to get into this live web stream that I had to do now, it wanted me to have a 20 meg link. My kids are playing games, my wife is watching a movie, and I forced my way in, did a speed test, I'm getting 4 megs. That's the ROI, and that's what our clients are feeling. So having happy clients and making this work properly, that's worth it. But like I said, the ROI is realized very quickly, within a month.
Excellent. Thank you, Arno. And I know we are just past time now. We do have one more question, and then we will send you both off just for everyone. It is past 9 p.m. now for Arno and Nico. So thank you so much for staying on late. And with that, the final question is twofold. So the first part is, how long did it take to solve your major latency issues on your network? And how many of these issues required new equipment purchases?
Okay, so when we set the goal in December, from December to now, I think we solved 80% of it. We did have to make a couple of purchases, but that was budgeted for. Instead of expanding our towers and getting more towers, we decided to buckle down and fix our network. So we had to stop our growth spurt for a while in terms of tower rollouts. Nico?
I think we upgraded 2 backhauls, two access points. We did 2 horns that we replaced, installed horns, and then from there, the investment and the time was actually just our own time, spending time going through the settings on the sectors, looking at the bad connections, moving them to other APs, playing around with frequency, playing around with TDMA, your flexible and fixed. So it was a bit of trial and error as well, because the two of us are of different opinions.
We don't agree.
We don't agree. But there's a lot of time investment. I wouldn't say the monetary investment was that big, Arno.
No, it was in South African rand less than 20,000.
All right. Well, thank you again so much. And disagreements is a balance of perspective, so not always a bad thing.
And by the way, Nico, we took off your horn. We're not using it.
Surprise, Nico. Well, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you to everybody who attended today's session and stayed to the very end. And a huge thank you to Nico and Arno for joining us and putting so much work into this. It was a real pleasure to work with you.
Thank you so much. And
thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.
All your guys, our fixed wireless providers out there, there's hope, and stay strong. We're going to win this fight.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.